He cometh with the clouds, and in every eye shall see him. And they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, say the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come. Yeah. Crack that sky. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. Oh, when you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. Yeah, when you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. Yeah, they all die. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. Yeah, they all die. It brings tears to my eyes to watch my people suffer. Then I sit back and watch all these other nations bump. Then I reflect on Deuteronomy 28 curses. It's apparent why Israel got lacking hearses. I've been witnessing so much hurt and pain through the lens of these eyes. I'm often convinced that somehow I've been desensitized. I'm just praying for the day that he cracked that sky on that cloud with that sword to destroy this world with fire. Yeah, they all gon' die. They all gon' die. And that day they all gon' cry. They all gon' cry. Yeah, once they all gon' lie. Trying to die, but they can't. Why the Messiah going hard on their ass like LeBron in the paint? Those who led in the captivity shall also go. And those of us who at the bottom will have to mourn no more. Who be the tell no more. I feel the jail no more. Cause those of us that kept commandments, yeah, we all gon' go. Yeah, it's all gon' show who really love the Lord. Because those of us that do it to the end will give a just reward. Yeah, it's a just reward for them to die by the sword. For the inhumane treatment of the people that the Most High do. Yeah, crack that sky. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. They all gon' die. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. Yeah, they all gon' die. When you crack that sky. Shalom, shalom, family. All praises to the Most High. It's your brother Stephen Israel in the building on this beautiful Monday that the Lord has made. Just wanted to come before you, brothers and sisters. Me and brother Mikael wanted to come on and do a little update on what's going on in the earth. To give you a little bit of insight on what Esau has going on. It's a lot going on in the earth right now in the Hebrew.
Man, too much going on. Can't hardly keep up with everything going on because it's all happening at the same time, Hebrew.
And we do want to give a disclaimer. We want to give a fair use disclaimer. We will be sharing a video. This is not our content. This content is readily available on YouTube for everyone to see. We are not saying that the information on this video is 100, 1000% accurate. We're not even saying that we agree with the information that this guy is saying. But what we are doing is sharing information with our brothers and sisters and giving y'all updates on what's going on in the earth. It's not our words. What we say is what the book say. What we agree with is what the book say.
The
But
Bible.
that's right. And we would be foolish. We would be more than foolish to disregard the insight that some of these Edomites have on information that they bringing out that's going on with these wars and things like that. So we just want to share that with you all, brothers and sisters. You got anything, Hebrew?
You know, we was talking earlier on the phone, and you was like the delusional Americans don't believe that they can get hit by ICBM missiles or nuclear warheaded tipped missiles. They don't believe that they can be bombed to oblivion, Hebrew. And I told you, as long as America got circus and play in front of them to eat on, to feast on, and to enjoy themselves, they ain't studying what's going on in the earth. It's gonna catch them by surprise. You remember what the scripts say when they say peace, peace. than sudden destruction. See, sudden destruction is already at the door, Hebrew. It's just a matter of when. Sudden destruction gonna come down when circus play is over with. And they ain't been preparing on what's to come. They ain't been praying to the Most High for guidance and understanding. See, this is who it's gonna catch off guard, Hebrew. The ones that are in circus and play. Hallelujah. Go ahead, Hebrew.
Yeah, I want to read Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 5, Hebrew.
Go ahead.
And it
brother.
reads, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment." And then Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4 says, "Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord has indignation forever."
Forever.
Forever. Obadiah
Hebrew.
1 and 18 reads, "And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken."
Hebrews 12:17.
Hebrews 12:17.
Yes, sir.
Hold on.
16 and 17.
All right. Hebrews 12, verse 16.
16, 17. Yes, sir.
Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. So, family,
No place of repentance. Go ahead, brother.
what we're coming up on, what this is leading up to is this is leading up to our deliverance from this
Salvation.
captivity. This is leading up to our salvation. Thus say the Lord. All right, Hebrew. We're going to put this video on, man. Let's get this thing kicked off. I want to show the family. Hold on one second. Get this thing
Thank
queued.
you, brother.
Get this thing queued up, Hebrew.
Get it queued up, my brother. Get it together over there.
Here we go.
Put the odds under 50-50 that the U.S. even has an election. I mean, at that point, you're talking civil war. It divides the shit out of the population. Once the population is completely divided, then you pull the plug. What happens to the dollar? What happens to the financial system? Purchasing power is ultimately going to go to zero. $1 million will not buy a cup of coffee. Gold is the direct competitor to the dollar, but that's going to leave the average person with nothing. I mean, if you and I understand that the dollar is toast, do you not think governments are as smart as us? I think the Chinese understand that in the end, they're going to count their wealth in ounces.
World War III is already happening. This is a house of cards, and it is in the process of collapsing right now.
You're going to see an economic crash, the likes of which we've never seen.
Between serving in the Air Force and now is America's #1 elected official for consensus.
All right, guys. So I look forward to sharing this conversation that we had with Bill Holter with you. An excellent conversation, very insightful. The problem was we had some technical difficulties on our Zoom call. The audio was perfect, but the video, not so much. So just bear that in mind. There might be times when it's just better to have this playing in the background, but I assure you there's going to be a lot of great value in this conversation, so stick around. Hi, folks. Canadian Prepper here. It's an honor today to have Bill Holter on the channel, a renowned financial commentator. a precious metal expert and a 23-year veteran stockbroker, currently clears through Miles Franklin. Now, what first intrigued me to wanting to have you on the channel, Bill, was something that you had said in an interview. I think it was on the channel Liberty and Finance. And you had said something to the effect of, when the financial collapse starts, the whole thing could potentially unfurl in a relatively short period of time, much shorter than a lot of people think. And I know you're also a prepper, so I'm looking forward to getting your insights on that down there in Texas. How are you doing today, man? And what is your, are you feeling bearish or are you feeling bullish?
I'm doing well, thank you. Bullish or bearish, I mean, that's like people will often say, oh, well, you're a pessimist. That's not the case. I'm a realist. I mean, I just take what I see, put those pieces together, and, you know, whatever the result of that is, it is. And I mean, if you look at what's going on, basically in 100% of our life, it's not good. If you look at the financial system today, everything is levered. There's more leverage in the system today than there has ever been on any metric, however you look at it. There's over $2 quadrillion worth of derivatives. That means basically there's more bets than there are assets. So all the bets can't be cleared or paid off because the assets, the available cash is not there to pay the bets off. And what I was getting at is, and I may or may not have said this, but I've said it many times, is that once this thing goes, once something snaps, it'll be a 72-hour event. It'll take 3 days. And it's, I guess, maybe a coincidence, I don't know, that 3 days to a human stomach, you know, that's when people start getting pissed off, is after 3 days. But from the financial standpoint, once there's a failure, once there's a derivatives failure, and I mean, it very well could be silver or gold or some other commodity not being delivered. I mean, it could be any number of things. But once that happens, the world will spin 3 times. And after the third turn, I don't think there's going to be any markets anywhere in the world open. And that's because you'll have the institutions themselves failing. And we could go on a tangent here regarding the great taking. But that's what the great taking is all about, is when the institutions fail, that's when the bail-ins rather than bailouts will come. Banks are going to bail in, brokers are going to bail in their customers' stock positions. So the event itself, once something snaps, will be very quick. And as far as the real economy is concerned, the real economy will come to a standstill because it has to have credit to run. And with a financial collapse occurring, credit will not be available. So the real economy will basically grind to a halt. And then you get to the individual situations where if they don't have food within 72 hours, you got a lot of pissed off people.
Stop, Hebrew. Stop.
Idea. Could you maybe explain?
So what he's saying about credit, I run in that lane of being a business owner or whatever. Our business runs on credit. You get what I'm saying, Hebrew? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna give you an example. Like, when I get these bills, when I deliver a load and get the bills,
Factoring company.
So what, Hebrew?
You talking about your factoring company?
Yeah, I got to go through a factoring company to get paid, which uses a line of credit. So what happened? It takes 30 days for that bill to clear, but they'll go ahead and pay me on that credit. You see what I'm saying? Using the credit system. So say if the load paid $1,500, they'll go on and give me the money, and they'll wait until the customer or that broker pays them. But if that broker don't pay them, I had to end up owing the money back. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
So that goes back to the financial consumer with credit. That's the same thing that's gonna happen, brothers and sisters. When the line of credit breaks down, you ain't gonna be able to go to the bank and get no money. You ain't gonna be able to use your credit card, your debit cards, or anything. Nothing when the credit breaks down. So you look at it, what's going on right now with the credit system. Don't y'all know over 90% of Americans are defaulted on their credit cards? It's already collapsing, brothers and sisters. And that ain't including the mortgage or the housing sector that it also runs on credit or borrowing money. That don't include the automobile industry, which runs on what? Credit. So credit is very important. So when credit breaks down, guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna be a chain reaction. It's gonna start from the bank and work its all on its way down. All right, Hebrew.
And yeah, another thing is, family, all of us need to at least have $500 to $600 to at least $1,000 in cash somewhere stashed away in your home. If you have a safe, you know what I'm saying? Keep you about $1,000 in cash in that safe. You know, if not 1,000, keep what you can. You know what I'm saying? Go to the bank, get you about $301 bills, get you about $105 bills, 10s, 20s, 50s, on up. Keep you some cash on hand at your house at all times. Because once this collapse does happen, like Brother Mikael said, your debit card, your credit cards, they're not going to be any good. It's going to turn into a bartering system. A bartering system consists of cash money, if it still has value, water, food, medical supplies, first aid kits, axes, gas, diesel, things of that such is going to be your bartering system. We'll have to trade with one another. I might have what you don't have. You might have what I don't have. We'll have to square up and barter with one another to make purchases from one another to survive in a situation like that, Hebrew. So that's why we need to keep some cash on hand. Order you some food. Order you some food and some water.
Right now is a good time to be going to Walmart or your local grocery store and buying a bunch of canned goods. Now's the time while you still got time. And you can go to Walmart and buy you a fireproof safe for about $40, $50. So if something your house will catch on fire, you can keep all your valuable goods in that firebox, in that lockbox.
That's right.
And yeah, like if you can muster it, like my brother said, get you if you can get 1,500, but you get them broke up in increments of 5s and 1s and 10s and 20s and so on and so on. So you will have, but mainly get more 1s than anything. So like my brother was saying, you need to take heed to what's going on and take heed to what we're saying, because we don't know if this financial system gonna come back up. But I do know this. I did hear Edomite Charles Schwab say that you will own nothing and be happy, and that each American, each individual all over the world will be on a universal income. Y'all remember when we played that video? So the collapse is coming.
And again, we not putting a day or a time or hour on nothing. So don't go say, Brother Stephen and Brother Mikael said we got 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 10 seconds. But what we are telling you is the scriptures say that judgment is coming to Babylon the Great. The only thing that we telling you, brothers and sisters, is to be prepared and don't get caught with your work undone. I tell you what, Mikael, because one thing about it, the Most High gonna take care of his own, Hebrew. Let's look at Sirach chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called up on him. And then you can precept that with Psalms 37 and 25. And say, I have been young and now am old. Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. But the scriptures also tell us to study the ant, you know, and the ant, he always stores up for hard times. He's always working, constantly putting back, making preparations for when the weather's bad, you know, for when it's a drought. He always making preparations. So we got to do the same thing, family. You got anything else before I started back, Hebrew?
No, go ahead, my bro. Go ahead.
All right.
Explain that a bit to people, what you're referring to there. I'm sure it's in reference to the discrepancy between the gold paper contracts and silver and
Right.
the physical amounts. So, but maybe 5 years old.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 1 ounce of gold or 1 ounce of silver, but there's 300 paper contracts against that ounce, so there's 300 people who believe they own that ounce. Once somebody says, "Deliver me the ounce," there's no ounces left to deliver. And I mean, on a broader scale, once either COMEX or LBMA inventory is bled dry, and that's happening, by the way, in a good part because of the arbitrage. Prices are higher in China for gold and for silver than they are on COMEX or LBMA. So the natural trade is to buy in the West, sell it in the East, and have that metal delivered from West to East. You're locking in a guaranteed profit.
Military gadgets are transforming people's condition and endurance, and here's how. All right, listen up.
And just one other thing I'll add, because you asked at the beginning, why gold and silver? That's very simple. Gold and silver are the only monies on the planet that cannot bankrupt, and the world is in the process of bankrupting.
So what do you think might trigger this failure to deliver? I mean, we know that people in China, India are stockpiling gold even on the retail level. I think the central banks in China have not suspended, but in April, I believe their deliveries were lower than projected. But is it possible?
And another thing, family, if you got any brothers and sisters that you are close with or that you trust enough, people nowadays are really not trustworthy, but I do have a few brothers that I trust with my life, that I know I can do things with, and it'll be done properly, decently, and in order. Go in and purchase you some gold or some silver bars or coins. Do it together, because you want to do it with somebody that you know that when everything hit the fan, y'all gonna be together. If you can't afford to do it by yourself, find you a brother or a sister that you trust enough to do it with. Invest in some of these things together. That's our problem. We so untrustworthy and we so separated, and we can never come together and do anything on one accord. We got to learn to trust one another. We got to learn that the brothers and sisters that are keeping these commandments, that is in the truth, that we can trust, we got to start investing in some things together that's going to give us provisions in these hard times. All right.
Possible that this rush on, or I guess this arbitrage between West and East, and this incentive for people to sell their gold in the East will be what triggers this potential failure to deliver? Or is there going to be some black swan event that gets people to want to request that their gold be delivered?
Yeah, it's a function of supply and demand. The supply basically are the inventories that COMEX and LBMA hold, and the demand are the contract holders, whether they demand delivery or not. And I mean, demand worldwide is picking up. You even see central banks buying gold. You saw the biggest delivery month ever, I believe, for silver in India in April. So it's a supply and demand question. And once the demand for delivery outstrips the available inventory, there's your failure to deliver.
Yeah,
Stop right
and
quick. Let
do
me
you
say
think
this.
there's any?
Hey, brothers and sisters, another thing. If you got a relative that lives outside of these major metropolitan areas, like if you got a family that lives in the country, that's what I'm saying. You need to start getting in touch with these loved ones and say, you know, when shit hit the fan, you know, I need a place to come to get out of these major cities. So let me give you an example. If you see Miami go up in smoke and you live in these major cities, you need to go and get on up out get out of Dodge real fast in a hurry. But you need to have a bug out bag already prepared sitting in your car. You need to get with your family member and your husband, and y'all need to have a strategic place where y'all can meet to get together to get to this countryside or wherever you got to go to get out of these major metropolitan cities. You got to get out them cities if you live in them cities. Brothers and sisters, you grab what you can and get out. I got a phone call, bro.
All right. All right, family. Let's look up. Let's look up. Let's look up what the United States is bragging about. That's really leading us up to this war with Russia. They are steady funneling these weapons. They are steady funneling these weapons into Ukraine to use against Russia. This is a proxy war that's going on. These are puppets of the United States government that's being used to wage war against Russia and these countries in the so-called Middle East. And these people are fighting back. And that's what's leading us up to this nuclear standoff, this nuclear war that's imminent and that's knocking on our doorstep, that's knocking on our front door right now. Let's look at this. Hold on 1 second, family.
Vladimir Putin has said Moscow has been mulling possible changes to its nuclear doctrine. The existing doctrine states Russia can use such weapons in response to a nuclear attack or conventional attack. However, Putin has said there is no need for Russia to carry out a preemptive nuclear strike.
Появляются новые, и во всяком случае мы знаем, что вероятный противник над этим работает, новые элементы, связанные с понижением применения ядерного оружия, с понижением порога применения. В частности, разрабатываются взрывные ядерные устройства сверхмалой мощности, и мы знаем, что в экспертных кругах на Западе витают идеи.
The Russian president has warned South Korea against sending weapons to Ukraine, saying it will be a big mistake, but he hasn't ruled out sending weapons to North Korea.
Что касается поставок летального оружия в зону боевых действий на Украину, то это было бы очень большой ошибкой. Надеюсь, что этого не произойдет.
Now, Putin's remark comes a day after the Russian president signed a treaty with Kim Jong-un. The Russian president has accused NATO of creating a security threat for Russia in Asia. Meanwhile, NATO member Romania has announced it will send a Patriot missile system to Ukraine. Remember, Romania has repeatedly called on its allies to increase their air defense support as Russia attacks its energy infrastructure. Close on the heels of Putin's visit to Hanoi, U.S. will send its top diplomat to Vietnam this week. The visit is set to emphasize on Washington's commitment.
See, family, see, this is what's going on. They sending these weapons over here and they shooting these weapons at Russia. Now, Ukraine doesn't have satellites that can guide these precision missiles that they're bombing inside of Russia with right now. So who does that leave to guide these weapons? That's the United States of America. They might as well be shooting the missiles at them people themselves. Yeah, dark-skinned brother, they not going to be able to hide their hand on this one, brother, because they sitting at the border. They sitting at the United States border with these nuclear missiles. These people sick and tired of America. They sick and tired of these damn heathens thinking that they can go around the world and rule everything.
That's why I don't like. I'm not pro-Democrat or pro-Republican, but I hate when a Democrat is in office, the president, a Democrat is in office when we in these times of crisis, because ain't no reason with them Democrats when they, because them Democrats they want war. You notice Barack Obama was in office, he was over there messing with them folks over there in the Middle East. You know what I'm saying, Hebrew? It's always something going on in the earth with these Democrats, bro.
Yeah.
You know, Bush had his run. You know, I understand, you know, ain't either party no good, but I'd rather trust I'm just saying, I'd rather trust a Republican in office than a Democrat. Because at least a Republican will go sit at the table and try to negotiate some kind of peace. Biden ain't took his ass over there and ain't trying to do nothing. Because Biden and his son done got in trouble dealing with Ukraine with that lab over there. You get what I'm saying, Hebrew? He has interest, monetary interest in Ukraine. I'm going to leave that right there. I don't want to get the channel hit. Go ahead, Hebrew.
All right. Here we go. And then, Hebrew, they put out this propaganda and try to make it seem like Ukraine is doing so well and try to make it seem like the small hats are doing so well. And they lying to the people, Hebrew. Hold on one second. Let me show this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't trust either one, but I'd rather have that Republican in office than that damn Democrat. Them damn Democrats something serious now. And you still got Negroes that still believe in America and gonna go vote for Joe Biden. That's what the funny thing all this about to be. You Negroes still out here voting like it's gonna change something. We gonna get change.
Hey, you so right, Hebrew.
You know, the tendency has been in this administration and previous administrations to not really take Russia seriously. And that's a serious mistake. The Russians have always been very straightforward about what they described as their vital strategic interests. And the number one vital strategic interest for them was that Ukraine remain a neutral state and not become part of NATO. They didn't want NATO parking missiles and troops and tanks and everything else on their border. And of course, since they've entered Ukraine, they've discovered what an enormously hostile government and capability we've been building there. I think they finally said, well, let's show them that they don't have a monopoly on power. And this is one of the problems we have. In 1991, we had a monopoly on precision strike. We had a monopoly to a large extent on space-based surveillance and reconnaissance and intelligence in many ways. Those monopolies are gone. We are no longer alone on the world stage by any stretch of the imagination. I think Russia wanted to say, look, you keep this up, you continue to threaten us, you continue to supply these maniacs in Kiev with strike weapons designed to kill Russians, Russian civilians, people in cities and towns, threaten us. You need to understand something. We have submarines, just like you have submarines. They're right off the coast. They've always been there. We can use them, and we don't have to use nuclear weapons. We have alternatives, hypersonic missiles, and we have a Navy. And now it's visible and it's obvious in Cuban waters. It's essentially analogous to the things that we have been doing in the Baltic, right off the coast of Russia, within 50 nautical miles of St. Petersburg, or right off the coast of Crimea in the Black Sea. You don't like it? Well, this is a taste of what you've been doing to us. So I think they're trying to once again reinforce their message, what they want as a minimum. And I think we ought to listen to them, because I don't think any of us in the United States have any interest in going to war with Russia.
Yeah, and one of the things that I laid out with some friends last night about, and we were just, hypothetically really describing the state of our naval forces, U.S. naval forces around the world. Doug just mentioned, for the audience, Doug just mentioned the year 1991. Well, at that time, I think we still had 20 aircraft carrier battle groups. We had 500,000 combat troops over in Europe at the height of the end of the Cold War. And we had a much, much larger and frankly, a better prepared military than we are today. Today we have a very small military. We're undermanned, undergunned. Our stocks are down. Our training levels are down. I mean, there's not, all the indicators right now are not good for our naval forces. I mean, we're lucky to have probably eight aircraft carrier battle groups at sea at one time, if we're lucky. And that means, and we have them in the Mediterranean, we have them in the Arabian Sea, we have them out in the Pacific, we have a couple out in the Pacific. We might have one or two in the Atlantic. That's not a large force, and there's no backup. There's no reinforcements coming if something were to happen to them. And the thing about where these Russian forces are positioned, somebody said, well, they can range Miami. No, they can range Iowa. They can range Omaha, Nebraska. With these capabilities. So one other thing that came up this week in the G7, a bilateral agreement that the United States that Biden signed with our buddy Zelensky there. 10 years. What do you make of this agreement? It's another stick in the eye kind of from my perspective. But what's your take on it?
Oh, I think you're right. This is insulting to the Russians, because the Russians know the truth. The American people don't know the truth. Europeans are beginning to find it out finally, because the mainstream has never told the truth about the war in Ukraine. Zelensky's finished. His government is an empty facade. And the Russians are simply allowing the Ukrainians once again to mass in front of them up near Kharkov so that they can be annihilated. Russian forces are larger, stronger, more capable than ever. They're ready to cross that river, go down to Odessa and take it. And I think they're ready to cross the river and go north to Kiev, along with another 100,000 troops up in Belarusia that'll come down from the north. So this is an act of defiance, I suppose, but it's meaningless. But it simply is insulting, and it demonstrates our complete unwillingness to take in the facts. This war is over. We should be providing humanitarian assistance and whatever good work that we can do to help Ukraine end this war. But we're doing the opposite. We're killing more Ukrainians. And for what? It's lost. It's over. And then we're offending and alienating the Russians. It'll take us years to recover from this, maybe decades. And that's not in our interest. It's not in the interest of the international system.
Yeah. And one of the things I want people to understand that NATO, so when we talk about what's going on in Europe, and NATO, which is, an acronym that has become well known by many people, everybody knows NATO, right? North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's a defensive charter. It is a defensive alliance. It's not meant to be an offensive alliance. And I think that the speeches, the actions coming out of NATO, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, where there was a statement out of Europe that said that NATO has 300,000 troops ready to fight in Ukraine. And I heard on a network the other day, a member of the House Armed Services Committee state, and he was arguing for this administration's policies. He stated the objectives in Ukraine, because I've never heard this administration really state any clear, unequivocal, objective.
All right, Hebrew. I wanted to share that to show that these people, they lying to us, man. They lying to us about the war in Ukraine. They lying to us about the war in Israel. These people are going around starting these wars and expecting us and our children to go and put their lives on the line to fight unnecessary wars. That's basically what's going on, family. But we all know that this is all being done at the hand of the Most High. These things have to happen. They gotta happen in the earth. These things got to go on. And what we must understand is that it's not them that's doing it. It's not them, it's the Most High. This is all the Most High is doing, man. And we got to understand that. But we also got to keep these commandments, understand our position, understand what's expected of us. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to read Wisdom of Solomon chapter 18 and verse 7. And it says, "So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of righteousness and the destruction of our enemies." I'm going to read that again. "So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of righteousness and the destruction of our enemy." The destruction of our enemies is our salvation. We got to understand that. It's not our job to run to the defense of the Democrats. It's not our job to run to the defense of the Republicans or the independents or any of these people, the Ukrainians or the Palestinians or the Israelis. That's not our job. Our job is to keep these commandments, make preparations, make provisions, and sit back and watch the destruction of our enemies, which is our salvation. All right. Exodus chapter 14 and verse 30. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashores. Hebrews 11 and 14. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 15. I have said before and now do speak, and I will speak it also hereafter, that there be many more of them which perish than of them which shall be saved. So the 2/3 that will not be saved, and the 1/3 that shall be saved of the Most High. See, this should pump us up to study more, to pray more, to fast more, to study the words of the Most High more, to keep his feast days and his Sabbath days. See, that's what this is supposed to do for us. This is leading up to our salvation. Now, will some of us have to die? Yes, we will. Some of us will have to die. But at the end of the day, to be with the Lord is our end goal. We fighting for the kingdom. We fighting that we may endure until the end. And if our end comes before the return of the Messiah, in his commandments, all praises to the Most High. But let's not be caught with our work undone. You know, let's not be caught off guard, family. And with that being said, man, you know, we just wanted to come before you all, you know, and give you an update on what's going on in the earth. All praises to the Most High for everybody in the chat. You know, shalom to everybody, man. We love you, brothers and sisters. We pray the blessings of the Most High upon you. This is not fear-mongering. We're not trying to scare any of you. We just want you to have haste, you know, have haste in your work. You know, don't be caught with your work undone. Like I said, man, all praise to the Most High. And Bro Stephen, I'm gonna get off of here, and I'm gonna let you brothers and sisters continue your day. And I'll leave you with this. He cometh with the clouds, and in every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come. Yeah. Crack that sky. When you 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 crack that sky. Yeah, all will die. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. Yeah, all will die. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. When you crack that sky. Yeah, all will die. It brings tears